The 2001 film The Artist by Michael Hazanavicius explores three of the four approaches to the film history described by Barsom and Monahan in the book Looking at Movies. The movie is filmed with a mise-en-scène that pays homage to the aesthetic of the silent films of the past. The aesthetic approach is characterized on page 407 as a method that seeks to evaluate movies and/or directors using criteria that assess their artistic significance and influence. The Artist film uses many different stylistic choices, including, but not limited to, black and white photography and similar sound design of movies in the 1920s era, having very little dialogue and music as if it were played by an on-screen orchestra. A review of the film on the New York Times by A.O. Scott said the movie itself is more interested in celebrating the range and power of a medium that can sparkle, swoon, and suffer so beautifully that it does not really need to have anything to say to describe how well it pays tribute to the films of past eras. The plot of the movie, however, addresses the technological approach to film history as it shows the life of a famous silent actor, George Valentine, who took major losses in his career when the films transitioned away from the silent era to what are referred to as talkies. George Valentine's refusal to adapt to the changing technology parallels the true story of Charlie Chaplin and his original reluctance to speak in movies. But as seen with his film, Modern Times, Charlie Chaplin included speaking to keep up with the times, even though, in that film, Chaplin, like Valentine, still refused to speak. Along with the technological and aesthetic approaches to film history, The Artist also takes the social history approach. This approach, according to the book Looking at Movies, asks a series of questions that are answered by the movie. The first of which, on page 408, is, who made the movies and why? The film answered this particular question in two ways. First of all, by showing George Valentine, a hugely successful silent actor who was great at miming but had a foreign accent that contributed to his refusal to talk on screen with the invention of talkies. Another review on RogerEbert.com compared this aspect of The Artist to the movie Singing in the Rain, where a famous actress like Valentine in The Artist had a different, uncommon voice that made her less suited for the changing types of movies. The second way the film answered the who made the movie question is by contrasting Valentine with more progressive thinkers, Pepe Miller and Al Zimmerman. Pepe was an aspiring actor whose career flourished with talkies, and Al Zimmerman was a studio boss who was eager to change with the times. The next question proposed by the social history approach are, who saw the films, how and why, and what was on screen and how and why. The answers to these questions somewhat relates to the technological approach because the movie's plot addresses the change in who saw what films. In Valentine's prime, silent films were the most popular film being viewed by most everyone. After the first talking film in 1927 by Al Johnson, talkies started to rise, eventually becoming more popular than the silent films of before. When this happened, only the extreme fans, actors themselves, and collectors continued to consistently watch silent films as they came out. Within a few years, as the film showed, the golden age of silent films was over. The last question, how were the movies evaluated, and how and why, can be answered by the modern opinion of the film, The Artist, or through the occurrences in the plot. The modern opinion of the film, according to Roger Ebert, was at first pretty negative, with people refusing to even watch the trailer. However, he saw the film in theaters 3 times, and said each time it was applauded, perhaps because the audience was surprised at itself for liking it so much. He continued, silent films can weave a unique enchantment. During a good one, I fall into a reverie and encompassing absorption that drops me out of time.